Well, welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio. This is our weekly live. If you're catching this on the replay, thanks for liking and subscribing, joining our YouTube, joining our Spreaker, or listening to the download podcasts anywhere you can find it. We are all over the place. And huge announcement, guys. We're getting really close to breaking 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you go and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Help us break that 1,000 mark. We're going to be giving away a Jase case, which is your emergency antibiotic stash. It comes with 5 different medications and a booklet on treatment. And the cool thing is it comes with a group that you can contact with questions. Hey, I've got these symptoms. Do I need to break this out now? Yes, or no, or use this instead. It's awesome. I love it. We love it. If you don't want to wait to see if you win it and just go get one, go to jasemedical.com, use the code PrepperTalk and save $10 when you order. And also, we got 5 ounces of silver we're going to be giving away once we break that 1,000th subscriber. So we're just a couple hundred away. We've jumped up a lot last month. So without further ado, Shane Paris, we are here to talk about the 7 highly effective habits of prepping. Or of a prepper.
Of preppers, yeah.
Wouldn't you like to be a prepper too? The 7 effective habits of prepping, right? I don't know how to really say this the right way. The 7
play on words from the book, right?
I guess.
Yeah, the book is a legendary book, so it's a good play on words for that. I'm sure, genuinely, guys, there's probably there's a lot of habits that are fantastic. But these are just 7 that we're just the 7 habits of highly effective preppers that we're going to just talk about tonight and go for it. So, Shane, you've got we're actually going to be pulling a lot of the from the Prepared Guy, which is Shane's blog. So if you want to learn more and read more and kind of dive in and be there, the preparedguy.com. It's not there's no the in front of it, right? It's just preparedguy.com.
Right. It's just Prepared Guy, yeah. But I haven't written anything for years.
Well, and this actually came from an episode we did, episode 42,
46, episode 46. So yeah, you can go back to if you're listening on your podcast service, go look for episode 46, Prepper Talk Radio, back in 2016. Yeah,
and we dive right into it, and we're going to expound a little bit more this time. I've learned a lot, especially in the number one skill.
Your number one skill.
The number
one skill. Okay.
Organization. Like I am like 800% better organized now than I was then. Knowing how important it was then, like I thought we were pretty organized. We're way more organized now. We've got more preps, obviously, but like the organization of it, the prioritization of getting things, like, and we've even taken that those files that we've created, the digital files, the lists, and 72-hour kits. We've all put lists together for that. You can download those on our website, preppertalkradio.com. Go fill out that form to get the downloads. But we have my organization cheat sheet that I use, that I created, that actually can tabulate and calculate how much food you need per person, what your pantry actually holds, how long it'll last you however long. Those are some of the organizational things that have like completely changed my game. And it's like the more I got organized, the less stress and panic and worry I've had in anything prepared. Like, oh, there's a disaster coming. No big deal, right? Oh, we're prepared for that. Wait, you're prepared for that? Like, I think that's my favorite is when someone's like, oh, crap, we got to get this and this and this. We got to take care of this happened. It's like, oh, no problem. Okay, so the back of the car has this. Oh, we got a flat tire. Oh, cool. Right? Having a plan or having all this stuff in place already and a plan, like that is such a game changer.
Yeah. I think we talk a lot about having that 90-day pantry or that storehouse in our own home. And when you do that, you're going to have a lot of canned food probably, or you get boxes of food. And right now I have some really nice shelves, and on those shelves I have, my spaghetti sauce is all lined up properly, and my my different boxes from different things are all lined up properly. But I went down every couple times a year here in Utah. They have what are called case lot sales at some of the stores. And it's usually September-ish and maybe March-ish. Like they have these case lot sales where you can go down, you can buy tons of cans of food, and they give a huge discount when you buy the case lot. So I bought a bunch of cases of cans this last time, and I didn't have a place on my shelf. So they're literally sitting on my floor of my I have a little storage area. Thankfully, it's behind a door, so it's not out in the open for everyone to see as they walk by. But I was just telling my wife yesterday, I said, I need to get a shelf or like one of those can rotational things, like where you put the can in and then it rotates down, it comes out. I need to get one of those to get my organization, so I'm not tripping on this when I'm coming into this closet that I have. It's actually kind of a storage closet for all my preps. So I think that's organization is critical. And the more you realize what it really takes to become prepared, not only are you organizing your stuff, but now you're organizing your time and your skill sets, the skills you want to learn. You're organizing your time so that you can say, okay, I want to learn this first, this next, and organizing your time in such a way that you're be able to get where you need to go.
Well, here's a benefit that I've learned of being disorganized. You need something, you go buy it. And then later when you're going through your preps, you realize you already have one. Now you have two, right? One is none, two is one. So conveniently forget about certain preps, and you just might go buy another one and have more than you need currently. So,
which is important to have an inventory. Like you should inventory your preps.
I'm being facetious, of course, right?
Well, no, totally. I've done it before myself. I'm like, dang it, I already have one of those.
Yeah,
I think
I got two.
I don't know where my stuff is. I better go buy some more. Like every time I have something that's getting close to the end of its lifetime, right? I try to get an extra one. And then that way I have a redundancy of 2 or 3, like knee pads. I've been doing tile work on the house. I've got some knee pads that are probably 6 years old and they're kind of on their last leg. So I broke out my ones in my garage, my backups. And today I went and bought some more backups so then my oldest ones, I can use them, but they're not that comfortable anymore, but I can use them. My current one, brand new, I've used them for one day today. Right. And then I've got other ones that are ready for the next go round. And that's kind of how we do things. So you're never hoarding. You're not stockpiling either. You're inventorying and you're rotating your home store. It's like you go to Home Depot, they're highly organized.
Yep.
You go to the grocery store, it's highly organized. Where's this? Aisle 15. Where's that? Aisle 2. Where's this? Produce. Right. Can you do that in your own home? Can you do that in your desk at work? Like, I know people that can't find their way out of a paper bag. Like, you need to have your life organized. And being organized is such an advantage in every little thing you do. You know, if you know, hey, my camera, you know, I'm a photographer. My camera's always in this bag, and that bag's always its place is over here, right? A place for everything and everything in its place is so true. I used to think those guys were crazy in their garage that had all the tools lined up on the wall. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to put it in a bag so you can carry it. And I'm like, no. If it's in a bag, you don't know where it is. If it's out of sight, you don't know where it is.
Yeah.
But if everything's got a place and it's all hung where it goes, you don't have to be so meticulous that you're outlining everything. Oh, that's where this goes because there's an outline. It doesn't need to be like the dead body on the floor, right? And nothing. You don't have to go crazy with it, but just get organized so that things stay clean. That you know where things are. You have an expectation for where it is, and you have an expectation on yourself to always put it back where it goes.
There's a couple fun comments here. Let's just jump into those real quick. Trey Ezel says, "Is hoarding one of the habits?" That's super funny. And then this other one here is my brother says, Garrett Clough, organization leads to optimization, and I think that's really true.
A great one.
Yeah. And then Utah Mike, my household had a complete diet change this past week, medically required. I think that's important to remember that sometimes as you go through life, there's going to be changes in your health. There's going to be changes in your situation, and you've got to make those changes. If your preps, if you organized preps one way under a certain condition, and now those conditions have changed, unfortunately, you may have to reorganize those preps now with this new set of conditions that you have to deal with your life. Medicines being one of them, which is another plug for the Jase case. So, yeah, I agree with Trey said this again. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Amen.
I wrote this, when we did this broadcast, it's been 6 years ago, and I would change this list. I've got a list here written down of 7 items. I would change it because over time, priorities change.
Yeah.
Things change, your perspective changes. And, number one, I've got organization on here. Number one for me at this point in my life would be early to bed, early to rise. I really think that is kind of the key to everything, to putting everything here in order. And yes, hoarding, I believe, let's call it stockpiling, is definitely a habit of a highly effective prepper. Absolutely. I totally agree. You can call it hoarding if you want. I don't care.
No, hoarding is a mental disorder. No, it's not. Stockpiling is better than hoarding.
I agree, but call it whatever you want. As long as you have the stuff.
Have you ever cleaned out a hoarder's house?
I've seen the shows, but hoarding can be neat. What's wrong with hoarding?
Hoarding is never
neat. Messy.
That's the thing about it. Hoarding is never organized. It's never neat. When I lived in Florida, I came across so many hoarders, and we had to clean out 3 different hoarders' homes. We didn't have to. We volunteered to help. So it was self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw, there were feces on stacks of newspapers.
That's ridiculous.
So whenever someone says, preppers hoard, I go, oh, no. Preppers organize. They stockpile.
Which is organization.
They stock up, right? But they keep it organized. Making Trey David Etzel, make hoarding organized again. Mahoa. How do we make that into a cool hat, guys? Somebody make a hat out of it. That's awesome.
Hey, Ezel, are you from Arizona somewhere? I got a friend, Ezel, in Arizona. Anyway, so for me, early bed, early to rise. I think that's my number one. We could go into detail on that, but then we're going to go too long too. But what are you guys' thoughts on that? Early bed, early to rise.
I've been getting up typically around 6 lately. I tried for a while doing 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. There are guys that do 4:30 every day. What's his Mark Wahlberg? He's up 4 o'clock every day. The Rock is up at 4 o'clock every day, and they go to the gym first for 2 hours.
Yeah, but what time do you get to bed too? I mean,
they go to bed at 9.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, what? I'm like, I go to bed at 10. I don't really fall asleep till midnight. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and that's relative. I think early bed, early rise. That's relative.
Yeah, 12. Is it 12:30 early? 12:30
for some
early,
people. If you get to sleep until 9 or 10, I guess.
Ideally, I'd like to be asleep every night at 9:30 and up every morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock. But I don't get those options as a dad, right?
Yeah,
you have to adapt and overcome that. I think that's one of my highly effective skills of prepping is adapting, right? But if you get up early and you go to bed early, and you get into routine, I know routines sound horrible sometimes, but routines are so beneficial for our mind, our mindset, our body. I feel way better now that I'm getting up routinely at 6 in the morning, going to the gym, not eating anything until after the gym. I can have beverages and stuff like that, but I won't eat until after the gym. I usually eat around 10 o'clock. Let my body start functioning and get all the fluids moving and get the blood pumping and do my morning reading and those. The routine is gym and then gym, shower, read, and then go.
So I guess early to bed, early rise should be just routine. Just categorize it as routine, right?
Yeah, get into good solid routine.
Yeah.
Recognizing
everything. Yeah.
I think one of these on here is fitness, isn't it, or some kind of So I mean that goes along with that. One thing that a lot of people, it's kind of funny. There's this guy who's a fitness guy on the YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and I was watching him, and he comes to the screen just right in the face. You guys get off this phone, go to bed, get your rest because rest is critical to your health. And I was like, dang, that's true. You got to have good rest and take time to let your body rejuvenate and replenish, and that you don't do that if you're not sleeping well. And that's where you get into trouble if you're not sleeping properly.
And we don't sleep properly because we don't let ourselves wind down. We don't organize our time, right? We go, and then you're like, oh, I better get to bed. How does your brain stop at that point, right? I'm like, hit the pillow. Oh, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy how quickly you turn that. If you get the blue light off your eyes and you start to really get in bed and do it properly, you go like my daughter all the time. She's 9. Dad, I can't sleep. I know you can't sleep. First of all, you're walking around telling me, you're talking and you're reading, you're watching your YouTube, but get off your phones, let your mind quiet down. And every time it's the funniest thing. Every time within like 5 minutes, she's like sawing logs. Just when she 5 minutes before, she's like, I can't sleep, Dad. Well, get off your stuff. And
you're not trying.
Yeah. Lay there and let your mind slow down. You will fall asleep. I promise.
Okay. But do you remember when you were a kid and you couldn't sleep and you go to tell your dad, I can't sleep, and you didn't have a light on, you didn't have electronics, you didn't what the heck? How come we couldn't sleep then? That's the mystery.
Yeah, that's true.
The energy of the youth, right? Having so much energy, right?
I missed that. That was so fantastic.
Yeah.
I wasted it on my youth.
And it's what we try and teach our kids, right? But they don't believe you. They don't believe you until they experience it for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's out of the order of this list you have here, but personal fitness and health is. We're already on the topic a little bit. You talked about working out, Scott. I think so I was in my Facebook group when I first started it. One of the things that I talked about was physical fitness, being physically fit, working out, going to the gym, doing those things. And I literally had somebody say, what does fitness have to do with prepping and food storage and water storage? And I was like, ooh, this is a great opportunity. I said, how are you supposed to hike home if something happens? Or how are you supposed to hike out of your home if something happens? How are you supposed to lift if you have an earthquake or a flood or you have a bunch of debris? How are you supposed to move that out of the way to save people if you're not strong, fit, conditioned, you have a good, strong heart? And as soon as I kind of went through some of those techniques, some of those items to explain why fitness is so much and so important, he was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And then I really do need to go to the gym, not just because I want to be, Mr. Olympia or whatever. If that's your goal, that's fine. But more often than not, we just need to be conditioned and fit so that if we're called upon to endure some kind of physical dilemma for a long period of time, we have the capacity to do that. And we're not drained, in a short period of time. Being physically fit is very important part to being prepared and self-reliant.
What goes along with the whole bug out mentality? So many people are like, well, if something happens, I'm just going to grab my bag and go. First of all, where? Second of all, how far can you really go?
Yeah.
Like if you have no transportation mode, where are you really going to go? How far can you go?
Yeah.
Like, can you walk 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles? Like I'm putting on 12 miles a day, 4 times a week.
It's no joke.
That's not easy. And I'm carrying stuff doing it. And I chose this for this part of my life right now because I wanted to change my fitness. I wanted to change my complete look and feel of how I do things. And so I go to the gym every day. I spend time doing spa therapy and other stuff to help with my back and joint issues that I'm working on. I've completely changed my nutrition, but then with work 4 times a week, I'm taking 25,000 steps. My record I think was 36,000 steps in a day.
Dang, that's awesome.
Marathoners are doing way more than that. But it's like you've got to take we have a huge problem here in Utah. Nationally, I mean, we've got an obesity issue, but we've got a huge problem here in Utah. There's so many preppers I see that are like way overweight, like way beyond morbid obesity. And that, I think, you're not a highly effective prepper if you're obese. You're not. If you cannot, as Shane does, kick and stretch and kick and be 50.
We got to be 50 to do that.
Yeah. I'm almost there.
Right? You need to be able to do those things. You need to be able to move and maneuver and think on your feet. And if you can't do those things, how are you going to be able to get through a disaster? Like putting kick to the curb, the whole bug out idea. If there's an earthquake and you got to take care of things around your house and around your neighborhood, can you? Or do you have to sit and wait for other people to come help you?
Exactly.
Be a part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I think that goes into the second one that we skipped, which was continually practicing skills and gaining knowledge. If you don't know what to eat properly, if you don't know how to work out, how to do the form properly, you're going to get hurt. If you don't do it properly, you probably eat the wrong thing. You may not get the results you want because you're not, listening to your body. But beyond the skills for working out and the skills for knowing how and understanding diet and nutrition, if you're a person who's ever learning and constantly willing to hone yourself, you're humble, you're constantly learning. But then what's important is that one of these other ones too is the best way to really learn something is to teach it and teach it to others. But before we jump into that habit, I think let's chat a minute about learning skills, because I think it's important to don't ever get to the point where you know everything or you think you know everything, because then that's the downfall. You're headed towards disaster once you think you know everything.
Yeah, and I think this also plays into the health and fitness as well. Just sitting idle doesn't do you any good. When I'm constantly moving. There's rarely a moment when I sit down and doing nothing. Yes, I should probably sit down and focus and read more often, but most of the time I'm doing something physical and have something teaching me something in my ears, right? Whether it's something spiritual or something practical. So I think there's always an option to, instead of having some downtime to scroll through Facebook or whatever and do nothing, there's always that little extra time, 5-10 minutes, whatever, to pick a podcast, not necessarily plug into our podcast, but there's a lot of great podcasts out there. There's a lot of great people out there teaching good stuff, and just learn that and then put it into practice as well. And for me, I'm standing more than sitting most of the time, right? I prefer to stand. And that's the habit I've gotten myself into, is standing and moving rather than sitting. There's that song, Walking Man. I'm the standing man. So, so that's just my 2 bits, I guess, on that, about gaining knowledge is, we could go far deeper into skills and such too. But
we just did an episode on that, so we don't really have to go there. But guys, go back and listen to our last episode when you finish this one, and you'll get a better understanding of the skills that you can go learn, skills you can go prioritize
and teach.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think we did. Man, I think we've done like 2 other episodes on that. So go through our entire library. You'll find
and then next week we're going to have a guest on and be discussing some skills too. So make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss those episodes as they come out. Because we got a couple guests coming up down the road that are going to give us some really good stuff. And then on our list here, number 4 says uses resources efficiently. And I think that's critical to not waste and be somebody who can understand that, we absolutely 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is just right. So we want to have some redundancy, but we also want to make sure that we don't have so many things that we're now being wasteful or being, there is a literal point of diminishing returns, and you don't get to that point. Get to the point where you're using your resources efficiently, and that's where you gain those skills. Like when I first showed my bug out bag or what I called my bug out bag to my buddy who was a military guy. I mean, he says, I've been in countries I can't even pronounce, you know what I mean? I can't even tell you, otherwise I'm on missions. And he's like, he showed me like a little fanny pack. Like I had my big bug out bag and he showed me his little fanny pack and he had like several different things. And he's like, I can do everything that's in your bag. I can do with this little bag.
Yep.
Because I have the skills that make up the difference. Until you have the skills, you'll need that big bag of stuff. But as you learn the skills, you'll slowly weed out those things because you're using your resources efficiently and you know how to use those resources efficiently. And, whether that's, knowing how to ration your food, ration your water, whether that's knowing how to use a knife properly so that you get the most benefit from it, whatever those is, just using resources wisely that you have and effectively. Don't be wasteful. And I think that's a critical habit to a prepper and a self-reliant individual.
Yeah, absolutely.
It comes into play so much when there is a problem, right? When things do go sideways and you have to ration food, understanding how to keep things lasting longer and not overeating, right? Not overdoing something, not using all your firewood in one night when you could have changed your oxygen absorption into your furnace, right?
Yeah, I think that the key part for me on this part of the discussion is that if you can learn to do with less now, it's not going to be a sacrifice later on, right? If you're using kind of some of my examples are, take a shower regularly with low water pressure. Don't have it blasting out there, right? So when you have very little water, it seems normal to you, or you're not stressed, right? And just simple things like that, to where in our first world, we have lots of first world problems, right? Oh, I only have 1 gallon per minute flow, which seems low, but in an emergency, man, how grateful are you for a shower of any kind, right? A sponge bath. So learn to do with less now, and in those emergencies, it's not an emergency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can practice. I think Whited Outdoors has a really great comment to share. He says that, and some skills will diminish over time, so you need to constantly be learning new stuff and practicing all of them so you don't lose them. That's critical. One of my martial arts instructor says that every time I go to class, we start with this conditioning that he does before he teaches us a new technique. And he says, I teach you this, you do the conditioning every time, because if you skipped conditioning over the next month or two, you would be right back to the very beginning of the start of conditioning, and you lose that conditioning. So it's important to maintain that and keep it going, like consistent. Yeah. Consistency is so critical in anything in life, and especially as somebody who wants to be self-reliant. You almost got to be like obsessed, just consistent,
religious, right?
Yeah, religious with your consistency. I think that was really important. Thanks, Whited Outdoors, for that.
Yeah, very difficult to do. I mean, easier said than done. It can make you look like a zealot, right? If you're being that consistent about certain things.
Well, there's an old quote. There's an old quote that somebody said: "Obsessed is what lazy people call the dedicated."
There you go. There you go. I like that.
Well, they call preppers crazy because we do all this extra stuff, and it's all that extra stuff that will actually save us when and if. Right. That's the thing about it, is like, if you can learn to be consistent in all these things and persevere, resilient comes to play with that as well. It's like, use the things efficiently. You don't buy what you don't need. Don't make more than you can actually eat in that meal, right? It solves problems that could become bigger issues later if you get a little more focused now. Going to the gym every day now, is a sacrifice for a lot of people. Getting up and going walking every morning is a sacrifice for some people, or turning on that DVD or that streaming some fitness class. All right. But it's going to benefit you more in the long run. Same thing with getting organized, right? Be vigilant about all those things. Efficiency. It's I think dedication kind of goes along with that. Stay dedicated.
One of the things that's really cool about, as I'm listening to more and more of Jordan Peterson's podcast and his,
are you going to last an episode ever without bringing him up again?
I don't know. I think I'll
like Jordan Peterson too.
Let's count
on every single one. The last,
if you can come up with a count of how many episodes I've mentioned Jordan Peterson, we'll I don't know, that we'll figure out some prize for you.
We'll send you a patch. We've got patch.
I'm guilty too.
I'll send you a free. I'll send you a link to his podcast for free or something. Anyways, he talks about the balance between our now and our future, and making sure that don't spend our future now, but make good decisions today, so that not only the effects of what we get, what we want in the now, but we also have a positive effect on those that are around us, and then those, and ourselves tomorrow, and ourselves 5 years from now, and ourselves 10 years from now. Like, what are you doing today? Is it just giving you pleasure for the moment, and then it will give you detrimental consequences in the next year or two? Don't do that. If it's going to be good for you today and give you good consequences in a year and 2 years and 5 years and 10 years, then do that. Those are the things that you should do more of. And I totally love that concept, because I think that's true. It's something that I need to work on. It sounds like that's why it probably stands out to me so much, is because it's something I need to work on.
That's a good one. So in our last few minutes, I guess, what should we pick here?
I think it's cool that number 5 and number 6 kind of go together on your list here: teaching others and keeping quiet. So to me, that goes into, remember at the fair that we did, the Be Prepared Expo, there was a lot of people. I mean, I get the environment. I understand the environment is such that all of us there can kind of trust each other and be there. We're the right group of people to share things with. But you and I both, Shane and Scott, we talked about several people who came up to us like, oh, I got this and I got that and I got this and I got that. I'm like, wait, whoa, that's a little bit too much. Don't talk about everything that you have, because then people will know. And so part of being a gray man or being a prepper is, it's the old thing is don't tell anybody what you're doing. Just be quiet for the next 6 months and then come back out and then just show people what you did. And that's what I think that's what number 6 goes into a little bit. But then how do you teach others to do that while you're keeping quiet? Does that make sense?
That's definitely a conundrum for me and for us here, doing the show, trying to talk and teach people and tell people, but lead by example, right? It's hard to lead by example when they say, I'm not telling you what I'm doing, but it's difficult to balance, I think, between the two.
It's just like a financial advisor. How many financial advisors go around telling everybody exactly what their entire portfolio is? Their net worth.
Not very many.
I don't know a single one that does. And I've known many, many of them. And they'll tell you what to do, right? Because they're the expert, but they won't divulge everything they have. They might tell you a little bit about something or one or another, but they won't tell you everything. They won't disclose everything. That's the key. You need to be quiet about what you have. You need to not disclose it all to everybody. Like, I know there's churches where people come around and say, hey, everybody, tell me what you have. No, don't. No, it's not their business. Right? It's nobody's business but you and the Lord's. But like, Utah Mike just posted the same question. Neighborhood church has asked for help on prepping. I'm not sure what to do. That's where you go in and you give them general guidelines, places to start, but you don't say, come in my house and look at my stuff.
Tell them to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's what you do.
There you go. let us tell them to come ask us. We'd be happy to help. Like I've gone and done speeches and presentations all over the place, but the big thing is don't divulge what you have. It's nobody's business but your own. Right? It's your things. God in the scriptures has told us that we have stewardship over that which he gives us. So be a good steward. Don't waste it. Don't flaunt it by any means. But also nobody needs to know your plans except for your group.
Yep. Your trusted community. And that community doesn't mean necessarily hundreds of people. A community can be 2 or 3 people. Like
family, immediate family. Yeah.
And it could mean not the family. Like I live in an area where there's tons of preppers, which is fantastic. And there's a lot of us that we think all the same, similarly mindset as the 3 of us as well. And so it's fantastic. Like I've got one neighbor, really good neighbor, awesome dude, total prepper. His kids are preppers. They're always asking me questions. I'm like, dude, you've been prepping for 15 years. You should know this. Yeah, but I want to know your opinion. What should I do? And it's like, oh, okay, cool. We'll bounce ideas off of each other and we help each other out. And I've got a couple neighbors that are expert hunters and a couple neighbors that are police officers. And it's like, but they're also preppers. And one of them is a knife smith. And it's like all these amazing skills right around me. But it's like, you don't go around and say, well, this guy has this much food storage and this guy has this and this guy. We don't talk about it amongst ourselves. I don't know how much stuff Shane has. I don't know how much stuff Paris has, but I know skills that we each have. And I know our plans and our communication strategies. And that's the thing is like you help each other get the stuff set up that they need without divulging what you have.
Yeah. Unless you feel like that's something that would be really important to share with somebody. I used to literally have people come to my house in September because September is Emergency Preparedness Awareness Month. And I would have them come to my house and say, look, I'm going to show you a few of the things that I do. And even when I would show them my closets, I would open my closets and show them where everything was and how much I had. I still never showed them everything. And so I shared with them the things that would inspire them to realize, hey, I can do this. That's what my goal is as a teacher. If you can see what I've done and you can say, man, if Paris can do it, I can do it too. Then that's a win for me. Then I've done my job. If you say I can do it too, and you know what, I'm probably going to do it better than Paris. Good. Do it better than me, please.
And
awesome. Amen. I really did my job well, teaching and inspiring. If somebody can say, if Paris can do it, I can, and I could probably do it better. Yes. Amen.
And I was just thinking that, a good way to teach is say, hey, look, I just built this. I just did this. Look at here's how I'm storing water. Those are kinds of things which are not real necessarily sensitive, right? Here's this battery bank I just built. Let me show you. And I think that is a great way to teach as well as inspire. And that's really what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to teach and inspire. We're not trying to be covert or anything like that. In certain instances, yes, we are. But to teach and inspire, say, hey, look what I can do. I can help you to do this as well. And this is how I'm preparing. This is how I'm preparing for a power outage or whatever it might be, or for water shortage. This is how I filter water, and say, hey, here's a couple of water filters I have. I think that's perfectly, what's the right word? Innocuous to share with someone that's not going to compromise your preparedness, your stealthiness at all. So there's a lot of things I think you can do with a little bit of contemplation. You can decide what you want to share and what you really don't want to share.
Absolutely. I think that's fantastic advice. And the more seasoned you get in prepping, the more you realize how important it is to keep these things private. Unless of course you're feeling prompted by God to disclose certain things, just keep it as your general rule. Like, keep it quiet, keep it hush. My kids don't know. They don't need to, right? They don't have the sense to keep it quiet. So I don't tell them a lot of things. Once they get a little older and they can be okay with knowing certain things, then they'll know more.
Yep.
And that's the same thing, especially like with your circle of influence. Like, there may be people that you just don't trust yet. Don't disclose anything. Right? It's none of their business. But if they start asking questions and how do I do this? Become a teacher. Like, I think that step 5 is teach others. Like, if people have questions and you can help them and help them understand it, teach all day long. And if that's something that you can't do, you're just not able to, that's fine. It's not for everybody. Point them to a resource that you like.
I think it's funny what Whited Outdoors just said. He says, if you do share what you have, also make sure you share that you have plenty of guns to keep it safe as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And people using those guns.
Yes, that's
because
awesome.
what good is having 10 guns and only one person, right? Let them know that you have other people that are going to be using guns as well.
And it's also about using resources efficiently as well, right? There's always the talk about getting more guns and more ammo, right? But there is like you say, a point of diminishing return, like you were saying, is do you have not enough food storage and too many guns and ammo? That's going to be a detriment, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like Stan Pruitt talks about, one of his best defense things is his dogs. And that's why he got them. He got his dogs, and they're specially trained. And they use special language for training. So it's not like you can't just yell at the dog, stop, and it'll stop. You'll be like, stop, no, don't eat me. And it's just like, nom, 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 right? Bad guy's dead, unalived, whatever. But the thing is like, find what works for you and make sure that you're keeping the security of what you need to keep intact throughout the whole process. And keep the open lines of communication. The last one on the list is that they are diligently observant. What is your perception of society today? What is going on around you? Do you know what's happening, or are you blind to it?
That's critical.
I think a lot of people right now want to be blind to it, or like, for example, in my parents' case, they don't want to be awake to it. I've woken them up and they're like, man, it was so much easier when I wasn't awake. Like, knowing what I know now, oh my goodness, but it's up their game and preparedness. Like, fantastically. Like, my dad's like, oh, I'm really thinking about this and this and this and this. Oh, those are great questions. Let me know what you find out, because that's an area I need to know better. And he's expanding his areas of expertise while I'm focusing on other areas of expertise, and so then that network of family preparedness is getting bigger and better.
I think on a practical level, one of the things that's really, there's a lot of crime and a lot of people that criminals look for easy targets and easy prey. And if you're walking down the street with your face in your cell phone, you're not being observant. You're not being situationally aware. You're going to be an easy target. You're going to be somebody they can drive by and grab your phone, drive by, grab your purse, grab your wallet, grab your whatever, and they're off because you weren't even paying attention to what was going on around you. And so that's something that's to be aware of. But like, call me paranoid. I don't think it's paranoia, but when I go out and do things, I'm constantly looking. I actually I don't know if this is just me being weird or whatnot, but I actually look in the windows of cars to see to see what I can't see, the reflection. So when I'm loading my car with something, I'll look in the window, the reflection behind me, so I can see what's going on behind me if anybody's coming up on me. I'm using my my surroundings to help me be aware of things that I can't see in my peripheral vision or my direct vision. I'm using those other things to help keep me aware of who's coming up. If you've got some weird, like the other day, I was at the store, I was coming out of the store, and there's this weird looking guy walking down the road, walking down the parking lot. And I was like, I need to be aware of that. Like, this guy looked a little bit strange, and he probably was safe, and I was making a bad judgment call, but I'd rather be aware and prepared and make maybe a bad judgment call and be wrong and have that guy be one of the nicest guys ever. You know what I mean? But I kept my distance, kept my safe. I was ready for what could happen. And I think that's something I actually really learned from the guy who's going to be our guest next week. He did a course on self-defense and being aware situationally of things that you can do. So just important to constantly be observant, constantly be aware of what's going on in your surroundings, politically, even spiritually, like you talked about, Scott. And it's helpful. And it's important and powerful.
Yeah, one thing that I do, just I guess my last comment, in those types of situations, when you see someone like you're saying they're Paris, I make sure to make eye contact with those people, right? So that they know that I'm aware of them. If I've got my head down, obviously that's makes for an easy target, but I've got my eyes up and I'm just making eye contact with everybody around me. Good so point. That's just one quick thing that I do.
I learned that in LA when I was living out in LA. I was in Orange County. Then I moved to Garden Grove and then lived in the city of Orange and then Long Beach and then Huntington Beach. And what's funny is spending a lot of time in Long Beach and then further north in LA, there's certain parts of town where people are hard. And dude, giving them a smile may not be the best thing to do. But at least
or eye contact either.
Eye contact. I found eye contact's fantastic. Like if I see someone that looks like a threat, I'll look at them, and a lot of times I'll just give them a quick nod, the up nod, not the down nod, the up nod. And I don't know why, because when I see someone give me a down nod, I get a little more like aware, like I'm like, what's going down? But the up nod is the high, right? It's like, hey, so I'll do the up nod. And if they do the up nod back, it puts me at a little bit of ease, but I think it also puts them at a little bit of ease. And it's like, you're aware of each other. Okay, cool. You're there. I'm here. Cool. Carry on. But it's like, if someone's acting like super crazy, like when I was working downtown in Salt Lake City, there's a lot of homeless issues going on right now. And I was around a lot of homeless, and it was like, dude, people would pee on your car while you're at a stop sign. And you're like, wow, what is wrong with you? But if you look at them as they're coming over, they'll stop. And they're like, oh, he's paying attention. And it's weird. Like, it's weird. Like, the threats will diminish if you identify them. And people who might be a threat will look away and move away because they're like, oh, you caught me. Down nod for friends. Oh, so Garrett Clough is saying that the up nod is for strangers, down nod for friends. All right. Learn something new every day. But understanding and identifying the people that are around you, knowing where people are coming from, what they're doing. Are you walking into an alleyway? Are you walking into a dangerous situation? Like, that kind of awareness is key. But just overall awareness of life, your life, what's going on, things that'll impact your employment, things that'll impact your food, things that are currently going to impact your food supply and your supply chain. Like, we've gone through this the last couple of years. So hopefully all of you are a little more observant as to what's going on and the cause and effect of things and being aware of that. That's the goal in what we're talking about with this one is not just in your situational awareness around you, but observant in all things. A more observant person, you're more engaged. you're going to be more understanding. You're also going to have the ability to problem solve faster if you are observant. So with that, I think we're at a really good point to conclude the show for tonight. But guys, please continue to comment on this post. Tell us, what are the things that you think make a highly effective prepper? Let us know what you think should be the biggest priorities, and we can cover those again in the future. But make sure that you're subscribed to our channel. Make sure you're following us on YouTube. Make sure that you're in our group, Emergency Prep and Self-Reliance, on Facebook. We are giving away a Jase case as soon as we break 1,000 followers on our YouTube, and 5 ounces of silver. That's huge value. That's over $100, depending on the market. Like right now,
more than that.
And who knows how much it'll be worth in the next couple of weeks, months.
That's right. Yeah, that's just spot.
Mm-hmm.
So it could make you a millionaire. You never know. It is the key is like and subscribe, get involved, stay in touch with us, and please tell your friends and family. Let's get them all prepared better, a little step at a time. And in the meantime, till the next time we talk to you, stay ready-minded. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Take care, guys.
See ya.